Nizal, how are you, Nizal? How's things going?
Going great, Ryan. Going great. I appreciate it. I do have a question though,
Yeah.
right? While reaching out to some of these prospects and stuff, um, prior to committing to a phone call, they're requesting more information, right?
Okay.
So, such as information about the terms, the loans,
Sure.
rates, and things like that.
Sure.
What can I send them? I know we don't want to send them too much information because of, I guess fishing wise, I mean, they're comparing rates and things like that. We want to get
Uh-huh.
them hooked. What should I send them
Well,
uh, prior to the
let's
meeting?
if we can for a moment, let's look at your process. So, how are you
Sure.
speaking with them? Is it in an email? Is it in a message on social media? Where's the conversation taking place?
Email and LinkedIn mainly is what I'm
Okay.
utilizing.
Okay. Okay. And so
And
they're seeing the cold email template, right? With our
that is
rates and
correct.
our different products and whatnot. Got it.
Yep.
Now, if
Yep.
you notice um, in your templates, specifically the email templates, actually, I believe it's with the messaging as well. It's a redirect to a call with your team leader. Have you sent that response? I think it's called response to client response.
You know what? No, I have not actually.
Got
So
it.
that's basically booking the call, right?
Yes. So essentially, what you want to gather is a few things. So one, on the real estate investment side, you have your survey, right? Which
Hmm.
Christopher put together for you, and it's basically what's already on the application. But initially, what you want to understand is, does this client have experience? Do they have liquidity? And do they have a property in mind? Right? And if it's a real
Okay.
prospect, it's someone you want to talk to. Now, what the client needs to understand is, listen, I sent over my cold email to you, right? You took a look at what the products are, what the rate ranges are. I don't know what your rates are going to be. I don't know what your term is going to be. What we need to find out, and that's what's great about Ion, we can deliver a quote for free within 24 hours. What I need you to do is fill out our application, right? Click the apply now button in the signature of my email, right? Or you can start asking them qualifying questions from the survey. And
Okay.
that way we get
Okay.
the information we need. It's a redirect. And you got to turn the questions back at them, Nizal. Because they're going to want to come at
Okay.
you and say, what are your rates? And your response to that should be, I don't know what your rate is. We don't have a cookie cutter rate. It's not like that. I'm not going to come back and say, your rate's 8%, just like every other customer we have. That's literally not how the industry works at all. We have no idea what you're going to
Okay.
get, right? The cold email give you a range of rates. Let's find out together. It's free. It's easy. Let's get it done, right? Um, that's how you handle the client, right? If they want nuanced information, let's take let's get the information we need so that we can help them get the information they want, and they should be forthcoming with that information because we're providing a quote for free. On the business funding front, you're conducting a survey. A couple weeks ago, I did the business funding survey, and it's in the business funding section of the training, and I believe it's in uh, uh, the
I know where
daily
it's at.
task list. Yeah, there you go. It's in
Yeah.
the daily task list at the top. That survey, and you just work those questions. Now that there's a lot more nuance there because you have to do the math. You have to work out the affordability. You have to take a look at what problems there are. Are there default? Are there other loans? Whatever it is. Anyway, there's a whole video presentation on that that's in the Facebook group. No previous coaching calls, by the way. You can go into our Facebook group, the Ion Capital Community. Each week we record the call, and there's different topics. So you can go back, you can take a look at that in addition to the training modules you're taking a look at. But anyway, Nizal, that's those are the two ways that you handle those conversations. And
Okay.
is work those two surveys, help the client understand we need information from them in order to get information to them about what we can offer them. And that's just how it works. Out of the gate, we're just sending a cold email with some basic ranges kind of thing. What they need to understand is this all above all else. Have a highly competitive national lender network. If we can't get the deal done, nobody can. We're
Okay.
competitive across the board. There is no product that exists that's better than the products we're offering. We're right there in the space. Make sense?
Perfect. Perfect. Yes, sir.
Terrific.
Appreciate it.
Hey
Jake, you have
Ryan.
something to add?
Yeah, on top of that, and this is for everybody too, or at least for the people that don't know, I've seen the same investor get different quotes just based on where the property is. So, that's why I tell people just be as general as possible when you're giving them the range of rates, because you never know what that property can bring back. If that property's in a low value area or somewhere where there's a lot of crime or construction or rehabs going on, abandoned buildings or something like that, they're going to get a way lower percentage on that property than they would if the property's in a real popular, real dense area. And just depending on where that property is, they can get a different rate just based on that.
Absolutely. And so that's just one way it can vary. The rate can adjust, right? And so it should help you understand that there's, the client may set forth a narrative that is, what's your rate? What's your term? I want this, I want that. That's not how it works. They need us. We don't need them. If you're doing this right, you have a tremendous amount of people to talk to about funding. We don't need them. We don't need their BS. Right? Excuse the acronym, but if that makes sense, Nizal. And so they have to play ball. They have to follow, our order of operations. And if they're willing to do that, they're going to get the information they need to put them in a position to get funded.
Sounds good.
Yep. Yeah.
One more thing I want to say too is, guys, don't forget, you guys have a product board for a reason, and those have super general terms too. And you guys could just, have that always in front of you. When I first started, I didn't know nothing about real estate for the life of me, but I used that product board. I stuck it up on the screen that right next to me, and I looked at it and I tried to understand it, get familiar with it, try to, see what the ranges are. But at the end of the day, is when somebody messages you, all you gotta do is just get on the phone with them and just have a conversation with them like they're human. Like forget about the rate, forget about whatever. Just call them and be like, hey, what's going on, man? So I see you're doing real estate. Kind of tell me about what you're doing. I'd love to hear about you, and let's see if we could work together. And you know what? At the end of the day, let's hear about your project. And okay, let's get all the details together. And you know what? I'll come back with you in a day or so, and we're going to see if we could figure something out together. And if it makes sense, it does. Then we could work together. If not, hey, no big deal. But let's try to figure out a plan for you. And you got to make it seem like you're working with them and trying to figure out the best options for them, and just kind of leave it open and just try to figure out. Listen, let's try to start this relationship. I want to work with you. Let's see if we could work together. It's really that simple, because at the end of the day, I could sell somebody a loan, and I don't even have to have a term sheet for them. I could just, you're selling them the idea. It's the project. It's the commitment. You're working together. At the end of the day, who cares about the rate? It's really getting the project done. Yeah, we're going to save them money. Yeah, it's going to be a competitive offer, but are you going to fight with somebody over 0.25%? Not really. It doesn't make sense. Don't always get so stuck on the rate. Build a relationship with the client first, and then it's going to work from there.
Great points, Sebastian. Great points. Thank you. Christopher, did you have something you wanted to say as well?
No, I think Sebastian kind of hit the mark. It's the same thing I would say. The product board. Also, it's funny that if you read our email does have information in a general term. A lot of times, I would say, in response to adding let's get on the phone because I don't know what your project looks like, so I don't have a blank rate. But it's copy the section for rating, like say for a rating term refi. And like, okay, well, generally it's around this, but obviously I don't know what your project looks like. Let's schedule a call so this way we can talk about it. So, don't look at a cold response. Understand that the idea of a cold email is to get engagement, not to sell. So if they responded, that means the email did its job. And then your next job is, okay, well, now can I get them to book a call and find out what's their interest, what's their intent? Because me pushing back and sending back email correspondences and not really connecting with a person doesn't equate to that being really a hot lead. It just equates to someone who just responded to an email.
Right. Absolutely. And if they have a question in response to that email, the email did its job. Exactly what Christopher said. And that was to get them talking, to get them interested, right? And there's a step that follows. But anyway, I think we answered your question, Nizal, correct?
Yep, makes sense. Thank you very much.
Terrific. You got it. Absolutely. Thank you. All right. Let's see who's next up here. Michael Valdez. How's it going, Michael? Did we speak last week? Your microphone might be muted there, Michael.
Hey, how you doing? No, we didn't speak last week.
Hey, Michael. All right, terrific. How's things going? Can we help in any areas?
Well, it's been going good. I believe I got one deal funded last week.
All right.
At least that's what my client told me. The closing was supposed to be on Thursday, and I believe David said that it'd probably get funded yesterday. I believe it was. So
terrific. I remember speaking with David about that. Congratulations. That's great.
Yep. So just making some adjustments on my own. I actually sent out my first business funding email campaign.
Right.
As far as real estate investors, I think I'm getting more responses from Facebook than I am on the emails. So I'm trying to decrease the real estate investor emails and, like I said, just started the business funding emails.
So here's a tip with the emails, Michael. When you're going into the Facebook groups and you're collecting those emails, go down the list a little bit. Don't just the recent months that they might be getting barraged, and that may be why you're not getting responses. So if you go further back in the date, you'll get people who aren't receiving as many emails. They'll be more likely to respond.
Yeah, that's typically what I do when I join a new group. I just scroll down as far as possible.
Great. That's great.
So I get a mixture.
Terrific. Okay. What about LinkedIn?
LinkedIn is it's been a little not as good as I would like as far as business funding. Mm-hmm. But I do have my own brokerage, so some of them I kind of keep to myself. So
understood. Understood.
Yep.
Okay.
My LinkedIn is just my business profile. So
got it. Now, there is a bit of a delayed reaction with LinkedIn, but if you're using Duck Soup and Sales Navigator together, it works quite well in that it's on autopilot. You will have plenty of conversations, and you just redirect to that phone call, right? And you send that email out. But you can get a tremendous amount of leads from there as well. It's a delayed reaction. People aren't on LinkedIn like they are on Facebook. So it's the kind of thing like you ramp it up for a month or two, and then all of a sudden, bam, you're just getting hit over the head with endless questions about funding. So something to consider.
I've had more. No, I've had more luck with getting people to send me deals, referral sources on LinkedIn. So that's worked well for me.
You have a healthy network, huh? That's
Yep.
good. That's terrific. Well, leverage that all day, Michael. But I promise you, the tools I just mentioned work extremely, extremely well on LinkedIn. So never be afraid to expand your outreach. You should be just underwater with too many leads, kind of thing. But hey, congrats, Michael. I'm really happy for you with your deal. Let's go get 10 more just like it, right?
Yep, that's what I'm doing.
Awesome, Michael. Congrats again. Congrats. All right, let's move on. Levi.
Hey, Ryan.
Oh, hey, Pete. How you doing, Pete?
Right, sorry, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but there was a webinar today. I actually missed it, but I'll get the recording from Duck Soup, where they've started doing a drip feed campaign.
Really? I think I saw an email
they're
about
adding
that.
to it. Yeah. When I get the recording, I'll send you it across if I can.
Oh, great! Thank you.
Yeah, because that could really sort of be a game changer as regards LinkedIn.
Absolutely, that's great information. Thank you so much, Pete. I'm looking forward to that.
No worries, I'll get it across to you when I can.
Terrific. Thanks again. All right, Levi Blum. How are you, Levi? Levi, your microphone is unmuted, but there's no sound coming through. You may have to go into the click the 3 little dots on the bottom right hand side of your screen and change the input device.
Can you hear me?
Yes, there we go.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Thank you for asking. I just wanted to share 2 points that it's working for me.
Mm-hmm.
Is number one, when you do follow-ups, you should not do follow-ups via email.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing is to pick up the phone and call the person.
Absolutely.
And especially if you wrote a small summary of our first conversation, that he buys
Terrific.
multifamily, that he buys to hold, whatever maybe the point the person think that realize that you know what I'm talking about, and eventually they will remember me. A lot of time, even if I had a phone call with my team leader like Sebastian, you think they know they'll remember you, but a lot of time I call back and like, Levi, who are you again? So when I go back to my history summary, I'm like, no, we spoke last time about the multifamily in Texas that you're looking to buy XYZ. And then all of a sudden they realize you know a little bit about their history, and they will, basically share with you. A lot of times they're working on something and they forgot to call you because they speak to many lenders. So it's a good thing to pick up the phone and touch base this way versus sending an email. That's from my experience.
Absolutely. That's a great point, Levi. Thank you for sharing that. Sebastian, you had something you want to say?
Yeah, one thing I want to point out is when I used to run a lot of gyms here in Chicago, we always what we did is call, text, email, just do all three, and get in a habit of following up with the borrower. Like if you're waiting for documents, if you're waiting for a response, follow up twice a day, call, text, email, twice a day. If you really want to stay in touch with them, just be consistent, and that's the thing is the people always read their text messages. People maybe not always look at their emails. Maybe sometimes they're just too busy to answer a call. But at least if you do a three-prong approach, call, text, email twice a day, they're gonna see it, or they're gonna respond to you, especially if you're waiting for a response from them, because you want to, like, once you get past the quote part and you're actually moving forward into like getting more documentation from them or just requesting things, you got to be on their ass at the same time too, because otherwise they're just going to lollygag. But it's always your job, guys, to just consistently follow up with them and just be on their ass and just ask them, hey, what's going on? You good? Are you missing anything? What's going on? Just always consistently be on them, because that's going to make a big difference. You want to push them. You really want to push them.
Absolutely. My old the great information, Sebastian, there. Thank you, and thank you as well, Levi. I really appreciate that. And just to add on to that, my old boss at my old firm used to say, harass them. Literally, he used to use those words. He said, if you're not harassing your clients, you're not doing it the right way. And that's what it takes sometimes to get funded. You, especially in business funding, you have to be all over them because it's high contention files. And so how are you different? How are you separating yourself? How are you, memorable? That's a huge thing too. You've got to ask the client questions beyond what's on the survey. You've got to gather information about them so that you can then relay that information to them again in the future so that they remember you. You got to have a laugh with them. Get to know them a little bit better and write down key information that only you would know because of that conversation. So maybe a few months down the line when you talk to them, they're like, Levi, I don't know you. I never spoke to you before. You're lying to me. And you just flat out say, I'm not lying to you. I remember the last time I spoke to you, your kid was on their way to, you and your kids were on your way to Massachusetts for a hockey tournament. And that moose crossed the road, or whatever it was, right? I don't know. Something. You're a huge sports fan, right? And Shara just got traded from the Bruins over to the Capitals, and you're upset because that's your favorite player and you have his rookie card, something like that. And they'd be like, oh, wow, this person does know me, And so it's important to gather bits of information about people and remind them of that relationship, not just remind them of what their needs are. But to Levi's point, you want to remind them of that as well. We were speaking last time about a multi-family property. You had this in mind. The property location was this, XYZ, whatever. You have to remind them of who you are, what the conversation was about, how you were helping them last time. And then they'll quickly just jump back into doing business with you, right? But if you didn't write that down, if you're not using your client lists along with your tracker, you're not inputting good information and good notes, how are you going to do that? Right? Same thing in HubSpot. If there's not good notes, you don't have good bits of information there in the CRM. So when you go back and you look at the file, you can remember what happened last time. You're not going to do a good job of rekindling that fire with the client. So some good points all around there, Levi. But is there anything else you wanted to add on to that, Levi? Did you have any questions?
No, I just wanted to add also that 2 weeks ago I had a conversation with a commercial lender from a small community bank, and she's giving me potentially soon a referral. Why? Because apparently, and maybe you can correct me, that community banks, they give you a limited amount of credit in order to purchase properties. When you get to you use all your credit, so the lender, the commercial lender, the loan officer can do two things. They can say, we can't give you any loans, and then you have a chance to losing the client. Or you can network with those people and they can say, what, I have Levi, they actually is a private money lender. They can help you buying your third, fourth, sixth, 20th house. So I'm not losing you. You're still going to do business with me. And at the same time, I'm going to benefit because I was able to help the other loan officer from a small community bank. And then we all ended up being happy. That's what I experienced 2 weeks ago.
That's great. That's great. Good job, Levi.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So, some good bits of information there, everybody, to remember and think about when you're talking to your clients. There's a lot there that can assist you, but it really comes down to having a little bit more insight into the relationship, taking good notes, remembering, helping the client to remember who you are, and making sure that you're staying on top of the bits of information because the client won't, right? They're on their way to drop the kids off. They're dealing with X, Y, or Z at the office, right? The last thing you're going to do is likely remember you or what you had to say or whatever, unless you're doing a good job of staying on top of them. So great topic there, Levi. Great points. Thank you. And thanks, Sebastian, as well. Terrific. Okay. Kyle Ferner. How are you doing, Kyle? Might have your microphone muted there, Kyle.
Oh, hey, sorry about that.
There we go.
Yeah, things are going well. I'm just actually kind of really trying to overcomplicate it. I got a bunch of leads. Oh, I've got a bunch of things going on, but I've got a bunch of leads, and instead of just sending them out, I'm trying to think of like the system, like how to overdo the system. But basically, I guess I just kind of need to hear like, hey, just follow the system, like what you guys have been saying. No new news from what I've been listening to you guys for months. I'm just now getting ready to kind of get everything settled and ready to go.
Okay.
But,
well, let's dissect a little bit here, Kyle. Where have you completed the video trainings?
Sure, I've been through all the trainings. Basically, I think with my life's been kind of up and down between jobs. I've got some other things going, and I'm just trying not to waste. I've mined a bunch of leads, and I don't want to just kind of waste them. But I think that's one of the psychological effects I'm going through is like, just do it. Like, start to learn the process.
Are you having conversations with clients, Kyle?
No, that's just it. I haven't. I've been talking to people locally, but I haven't sent off really any of the leads that I've sent.
I understand.
I've got a bunch. I mean, like, it's kind of funny. I'm like warming up to it, but it's really.
You're at the edge of the pool. You're sticking your toe in, but you're not jumping in.
Absolutely, 100%. I've been researching, learning, talking to people. People know me about my local area.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. It's like, I'm right there. I'm thinking like within the next week or so, I finally got enough to like a good data set.
Yep.
And I appreciate you asking me out right now for asking me about this because it's one of those things where I'm like, I've been with you guys now for a while. And it's like, if I don't do something, if I don't take some action, it's kind of like that, the fire that doesn't keep going. And I imagine you guys see that a lot in brokerage and in sales in general.
Yeah, absolutely. The willingness to take massive action is important. Gavin, are you there? And you may have stepped away, but.
I am indeed.
I think this is a good question for you, Gavin.
This was about massive action, right?
Yeah, taking massive action. Kyle's at the edge of the pool, but he's not quite jumping in. He's got some leads. He's been through the training, but he's just yet to really attack all of those leads he's accumulated. And we have a case here of not fully committing to the task and really going for it. So.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the obvious question, Kyle, is why do you think you're not going for it?
To be completely honest, it's because my schedule has been pretty wild as far as like when I'm available. I don't want to be able to not make a call or not take a call. But that's kind of as I'm saying that out loud, that's kind of like not really much of a reason. Being completely honest with myself here, there's not really a bunch of good reasons. I don't, I cannot, I don't know. I'm almost there. Like, I've worked out a bunch of the kinks in my schedule. I've worked out a bunch of the kinks in the training. I've got a bunch of leads. I mean, God, I have a tremendous number of leads.
Are you anticipating the questions, Kyle?
I don't know if it's even that, because I've been in sales. I really didn't want to. I think part of it, I don't want to waste the leads, but that's totally not an acceptable answer either. I mean, I just need to do it, and I appreciate calling me out, because I'm right there. Like, this next week or two, I was even going to contact you guys just to say, like, hey, like, I'm almost at that point where the regression of, like, are you guys actually doing deals, which is so absurd? Does that make any sense? Like, when you start to back yourself out of an idea.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and really where it usually starts, I think, is building it up, putting it up on a pedestal. It's like it's like, if I liked a girl in high school and she's real pretty, right? and I'm just terrified of going up and talking to her because I'm thinking of all the possible outcomes. But anyway,
that's exactly right. Yeah. I know 100%. And I've been down so many roads, and I've got family and friends all through my tribe that have kind of like begin to doubt some of these things I go down these paths. And I know you guys are legit, and I know deals are getting done. And so I'm like in that weird kind of psychological, status of like, why aren't you just doing it now to find out? So I'm going to do it. It's ironic. I've just got a bunch of these pieces put together, all the email equipment and all that. Nothing. I'm overcomplicating it, and I'm just pussing around. I mean, excuse my language, but that's the bottom line. So I appreciate it.
You got it, Kyle. Gavin, did you have any points there?
I think what I'll do, because I don't want to sort of take up too much time on this call, Cole, but I'm going to email you. Let's set up a call and let's really dig into this, because the bottom line is, look, let's just say it is. You're making excuses, right? And that's turning into procrastination. And procrastination is also a choice, and it's an action. And then ultimately, if you stick with that, you're going to get nothing. So you've either got to decide you're going to do it, and to Ryan's point, commit or not, right? But there's no shade of grey in that decision. You're either in or you're out. You can't be half in and half out and pussyfooting around. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
100%. And I'm committed.
I remember our first call. Like you wanted a different life. You wanted all these different outcomes. So either you believe you're capable of achieving that and you go take action to go get it, or you don't. Where do you stand?
I'm committed.
It's simple.
No, I would have definitely appreciate the time, because I'm 100% committed. I'm just obviously not committed enough to actually make the first step. So, or the next couple steps. So
no worries. All right, man. Look, when we finish here, I'll reach out to you and we'll set up a call and take it from there.
Okay, thank you, sir.
No problem.
Awesome, Kyle.
Hey, I can do something there.
Yeah.
I thought of something the other day. I think I sent it to Gavin yesterday. But if you think about it, and my numbers could be way off. I just thought about this the other day. But for every hour or minute that you spend absolutely committed to your goal, like taking massive action, like going through it, absolutely committed, for every hour that you spend absolutely committed, taking action, brings you 2 years closer to your goal. Because if you think about it, if you stop, if you don't take that action, if you're waiting, you're just going to get. So my numbers could be way off, but that's just something I thought about. If you spend that time absolutely committed to your goal, absolutely taking that massive action, then you're going to get to your goal probably at least 2 years faster.
Absolutely, just by doing that consistency. There's lessons here. There's hurdles you got to get over, and it just happens in those conversations. So, good point there, David and Kyle. We're not just talking to you too. We're talking to the whole group, right? And trying to help everyone understand what it takes. But for you, Kyle, my advice: conversations. Just all you want to focus on this week is, I'm going to talk to a bunch of people about getting their business funded, right? Whether it's real estate investment, whether it's just general business funding. Have those conversations. bomb those conversations. If the client hangs up on you, congratulations, that's a great thing. Let's get to the next one. You know what I mean? I mean, these are the building blocks of success. Make no mistake about it. I remember I was in New York City. I was doing door-to-door sales, and I walked into a podiatrist's office, and I wanted to talk to him about television commercials. I worked for Comcast Spotlight, and I was trying to get him to shoot a commercial, put it up on television, as well as a digital campaign online as well. This guy came out from behind the desk, got in my face, cornered me in front of a lobby full of people, and screamed in my face, "Never come back here ever again. I'm going to call the police or whatever." I was horrified, right? The very first call, I went out on my own and did that. I was in a suit, I was totally embarrassed. Best thing that ever happened to me, because no call I went on after that was ever as bad as that one. No one even came close. And so it was like my worst nightmare was confirmed in that first call, and it happened, and I shook it off, and it was done. And had I quit, I never would have succeeded. But a few months later, man, I was winning awards for closing the most deals for the whole NYDMA, the New York Designated Market Area. And wow, I was so excited and happy, but it all started with me having the worst day ever, So I don't know if you're anticipating it like I was in that regard, but I think it's just a helpful story for everybody that sometimes you just have to put yourself in the situation and let it happen enough times to all of a sudden start succeeding. So that's my 2 cents.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You got it, brother. Let us know if we can help. We're there for
Will
you.
do.
All right. Terrific. Bye. Jose, how we doing, Jose?
Doing good. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Are you new to join us here, Jose?
Yeah, I am.
When did you join?
Started like a couple of days ago.
All right. Welcome to the team. Welcome aboard. How's
Definitely,
it going
thank you.
so far? Anything we can do to help you?
Well, so far, I finished the modules concerning the business and the R for the real estate investing. Right now, my issue is the same thing what Kyle's going through. The only exception is that I don't have any leads, is overcomplicating in the process of actually getting the leads from Facebook and actually from Facebook and LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
So it's basically, okay, how do I start? What niche should I choose? Is it the business funding? Is it REI?
I would start with REI, just to simplify it for you, Jose, because it's pretty straightforward. Business funding. A lot of people out there think business funding is easy. Oh, I have my own brokerage. Oh, I understand business funding, and really all they know how to do is gather an application, 3-month statements, and send it to a lender. That's not how it works. You have to be able to actually analyze those bank statements, take a look at financials, be able to understand affordability, uncover the truth because the clients are usually not being honest with you, being able to understand what a repayment schedule might look like, understanding when the client is over leveraged, being able to spot default, fraud, things like that. It's a lot. There's more nuance there. Now, it's not that it's hard. It just takes a little bit of experience and time to gather that experience to understand what you're supposed to do to get to the goal, to get to funding deals. Whereas real estate investment funding, there's nuance there as well, but it's more straightforward into what your role is in gathering the bits of information about the deal itself. So with that being said, you're really just focused on do you have experience? Do you have liquidity? Do you have a property in mind? That gets the ball rolling. We're giving them our bits of information with our cold email template, our response to their response, right? Same thing, cold messaging template, right? Our response to their response, which is really just a redirect to a call, getting some basic qualifying questions answered, getting them to fill out your intake form, your apply now button in your email, getting a call set up with your team leader, that kind of thing. As far as your marketing methods are concerned, start with one, make sure you're getting some lead flow in, start tackling the next one, right? Focus in on that one. What can you do to start getting some lead flow in? Move on to the next one. Don't try and take it all on at once because then you're going to frustrate yourself, right? Make sure one's working, move to the next one, get that one up and running, get the next one up and running. Then with all three combined, right? Balance out your efforts to make sure you're attacking from each platform. You have your daily regimen, you're using your tracker, right? And you're using your client list together effectively. You're paying attention to your numbers, right? Anyway, consistency is everything. But That'll get the ball rolling for you. The most important thing is off the bat is you want to start having conversations with people. You know, get the ball rolling, and then you want to scale your efforts, right? So if it starts with you just gathering some email addresses and having conversation with 1 or 2 clients in a day, terrific, right? Now, okay, you got that down. Let's scale your efforts. Let's make sure you're getting enough emails out. Let's scale your efforts. Let's make sure now you're having enough conversations on Facebook, right? You're redirecting to sending that email out, letting them know what the subject line of that email is so that they respond to it, right? Getting that phone number, getting that appointment set to have that phone call conversation, right? Making sure you know where your surveys are so you can ask those those questions, right? And then scaling your efforts. Okay, now I have a certain amount of those conversations. Terrific. Okay, let's take a look at the other platform, right? LinkedIn. Let's put that on autopilot, right? Okay, now between all of these things that are, and each day I'm regimented, I'm hitting each of these boxes, and I have my book of business that is my tracker and client lists, right? And I'm attacking those, I'm doing my follow-up calls, right? I'm setting my appointments for the future when the client said, hey, call me next month, whatever it is. I have that data, I have new data. Between all of those things, you have endless people to talk about, Jose. And at that point, you're having conversations. You have plenty of people to talk to about funding. You're in a different position, right? Then it's working on your existing deals, your clients that have already submitted the information, paying attention to that, doing your follow-up calls on the existing people you've already spoke to, and then going out and catching some new fish, right? So you find that balance and that regimen, and you just keep that wheel spinning. Make sense?
And it does make sense.
Terrific. So obviously it's not as simple as I'm explaining it, right? There's nuance there, and you got to take a look at the training. And I get that. Is there any specific hang up, anything we can help with at the moment that's just kind of got you stumped?
No, it's basically just utilizing the tools and resources in order for me to get the leads, such as Doug Soup and then the sales
navigator.
The sales navigator for LinkedIn.
Absolutely. Well, the great thing about those 2 platforms is there's great trainings offered by those platforms on their websites, and we have training here in our Ion Success tool as well that walks you through how to get those things set up, some of the nuance around those platforms, and exactly how you're going to be using them. But just set aside some time, commit yourself to the task, do it once, do it twice. It's ingrained in your memory. You're ready to go. And before you know it, man, especially with those 2 tools you just mentioned, once you have everything appropriately set up, I mean, it's leads on autopilot.
Sounds great. Thank you.
You got it, Jose. Let us know if we can help. Anything we can do to help you. All right. David, did you have something you wanted to say? I see your microphone's unmuted.
Yeah, I was just going to say, to the guys like Noah, Arthur, and Jose that you were just talking to, we have not even had our onboarding calls yet. We've got those set up for the end of the week. So you guys, to let you guys that we will be going into that much more in depth when we get on our onboarding calls. So don't fret. Just keep going through the training, and we'll get you up to speed before the end of the week.
Terrific.
No, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, David.
Awesome, guys. All right, let's move on to our next affiliate. James Ossie. How are you, James?
Hey, Brian, it looked like Noah raised his hand too.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's hang on for a second, James. Noah, you had a question?
So I'm still trying to process things and learn about all the different kinds of loans and whatnot. And my plan was to do with real estate. And there are a lot of reasons why I was planning to go with that. Like, for example, a lot of these real estate investors, they want to do multiple deals a year, but I don't really understand business loans. So I guess what I'm curious about, are there any advantages that business loans have in getting involved in that niche compared to real estate? I do plan on doing real estate, but I was just curious about the other side.
Sure. Let's compare them for a moment. Absolutely. Business funding is more expensive. You charge more points usually. And so you can get a bigger commission, is the bottom line, right? Not that you can't get big commissions with real estate, but it's a little different in the way that works out. See, generally real estate deals are larger dollar amounts, but ultimately less amount of points. They're cheaper products, right? Whereas business funding, may not always be as much money, but there's more interest and there's more points in the deal. It's more expensive. So it's a different conversation. You know, when you talk to someone about real estate investment, it's all la-di-da. Hi, how are you? This is going to be a great, fruitful conversation. You talk to somebody about business funding, they're, you know, like drop dead, never call me again kind of thing. Not every call will be like that, but it can be like that. To give you some perspective, I mean, a cash advance is generally short term. You could give somebody money for 6 to 8 months at a 40% interest rate, and you're tacking on top of their, you know, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points. It's expensive. They have a daily payment. You know, nobody wants that kind of money. They may need that kind of money, but nobody wants that kind of money. So it's a little bit different, but high risk, high reward. I mean, you know, the best I ever did in that space, I gave a batch of 3 loans of $350,000 a clip at 38% interest with 15 points on the deal, each one. So if you pull out your calculator just for a minute to understand what that might look like, if you have $350,000 as your funded amount times 0.15, that's a $52,000 gross commission per loan, per $350,000 loan. So it's insane what you can do in business funding. But that was a publicly traded company. That was a tremendous amount of work. That was a lot of FU Ryans going on in that conversation. I had to drive out to Ohio and get in front of a board and sit there and go through it, and go through the financials and watch them leverage, because they were a acquisitions firm. And so they were trying to leverage the revenue of all these different companies that they had acquired, or they would call it revenue, when really they were just moving money between accounts, between these different businesses, and trying to leverage that as revenue. And so we had to have the hard conversation with them, which was, this is not revenue. You guys are just moving money around, right? I didn't say the words, but basically fraud, right? Telling your investors that it's in fact fraud, that this is your revenue when it's not. You're fluffing your numbers. And the bottom line is this: you guys are in deep crap. You're in trouble. You need money, and you need money fast, and you need to keep these bank accounts positive to keep this fraud machine you have going, right, to continue, right? So that's the bottom line, right? So we can help you with your cash flow issues. We can give you 350 a clip spread out throughout the year. That should be able to help you balance out your books. It's none of our business how you spend your money, but that's how it works. So it can be a difficult thing. You know, it's not easy, but it takes time. It takes experience. And it all starts with being able to identify issues. So the survey, Noah, in business funding is extremely, extremely, extremely important to be able to identify: is there debt? Is there fraud? Is there stop payments? Is there default, right? There's nuance, right? How many owners of the business do we have? We need to do a background check on these owners. We need to check credit. Maybe, you know, one of the owners is great. He's got an 800 credit score and everything's fine, but the other business owner's got a 500 credit score. He's defaulted on 2 loans. No lender in the nation will loan him any money because he's got all kinds of stuff going on. And so it's being able to identify these things and being able to understand what a good deal looks like versus what a bad deal looks like. Now, not to worry, Noah, you can leverage the power of Ion, right? We've seen this stuff before, so we can help you identify these things. But there's a course that you have to go on, and a lot of obstacles that you have to bob and weave around to pick this stuff up for yourself, so that you yourself can identify these issues. But once you can make a lot of money in business funding. A lot of money in business funding. Now, real estate investment funding, it's a little bit different, right? There is a bit of luck there, right? Who you're actually getting in touch with, and do they happen to have a property lined up, right? Are they realistic in what they're looking for, right? Is the property not in some ridiculous rural area where it's not going to get funded? Do they have liquid cash? Do they have experience? Are they ready to go to where they can put their money down? Do they have that roughly that 30%, right, in reserves, even though it may not take 30% down, right? Still that they have that money, they have experience, they know what it's like, to where it's just relatively easy. Okay, not a problem. Fill out the application. Let's get your statements. We'll get it into the lender, right? When you're looking to close, whatever. It's a pretty straightforward thing, and bang, we'll get you funded, right? But the commission may not be just some giant, huge commission, right? But there's consistency there. You don't have to constantly be collecting big commissions to make money. You just need consistency of deals funding, and it all adds up. And then all those clients that you're funding, real estate investors, if you find good ones who are doing 2, 3, 4, 5 deals in the year, each time they're coming back to Noah to get funding, right? So it really starts to add up because you have those renewals, you have that residual coming in behind your new business and existing business. And when you put all that stuff together, man, those pennies add up. So anyway, I know I'm throwing a lot out at you there, Noah, but does that make sense?
I get the general idea. I mean, obviously, I got a lot to learn, and some of the stuff that you mentioned, I still don't fully understand, but I will come back to this video for sure.
Terrific. No worries. And again, Noah, don't feel like you have to understand all of these things and know all these things off the bat. You can leverage our leadership team. Right. We've got this stuff worked out. We have the scars to prove it, man. So we have your back as you go into these conversations, into these deals. So when the time comes and you find a whale, not to worry, man, we're going to take care of you. Okay?
Thank you.
You got it. All right. Okay, what do we got here? 12:51. I think we have time for one more question. James Ossie. James, how are you? You may have to unmute your microphone there, James. All right, James may have stepped away. Oh, there he is.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was on mute.
That's all right.
Yeah, it's going really well. Just doing exactly as the training says. Following training, watching the videos, going through the materials multiple times, and doing as it says. And the leads are coming in all the time, and got some appointments that I've been on with David. So just keeping it going, being consistent, like Gavin always says. So that's what I've been doing. One thing that I do, want to share with new affiliates is that once you start getting responses from clients through emails, trying to get them on the phone, because one thing I've realized is that the more you keep engaging them on emails, they'll take that information and they'll take that elsewhere. They'll never come back. So that's one thing that I've learned. You don't want to give so much information going back and forth on email, because they'll just take that information and just go elsewhere and trying to shop around.
That's a great point, James. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. That's a terrific point.
Yeah, no, I'm done actually. Yeah, I just wanted to get that across, because I know, once you start sending emails, you definitely get responses. But a lot of people who want information, they like engaging back and forth on email. But once they get that information, they're not coming back. They're gone. They won't even respond to your emails anymore.
Appreciate that, James. Thank you for sharing that with the group, and that's very true. What you got to understand the way a borrower thinks, right? They are looking to shop for the best price in their mind, right? They want to see what's out there. So if you're working really hard and you're, Joe customer service, right? Okay, no, you want to know, I'm going to get you every answer to every little question and whatever you need. They're going to gather that information. They're going to say, okay, that's what this guy's offering me. Now that I know those bits of information, I'm going to go talk to 10 different people and see what they can offer me. And are they going to give me something better? And they're going to keep doing that, right, to find the best opportunity. So willingness to just give away information to somebody and answer every little question and whatever, and just kind of be their, for lack of a better term, whipping boy. Not saying James is, but just in general, as salespeople, when we're trying to talk to a client, what happens is the client you're talking to has not put in any sweat equity in. They haven't invested any time into speaking with you, and so they don't really feel like they're losing anything by cutting ties. But when you get them to invest in the conversation, right, to provide you bits of information, to fill out your paperwork, to get the process going, to get the ball rolling, they've invested time and effort. They're emotionally connected to the experience and to you. And so they're going to see that course to its end because they've put in their time. Nobody wants to just put some time into something without some kind of monetary result, right, in the business world. That's how it works, right? So you've got to create that kind of situation for them, which is why, we're big advocates of not being in the business of customer service as salespeople, which may surprise some of you in hearing that, but we are not customer service specialists. We're not. That's not what we do. We're not here to, Jane Doe, in your business, I'm going to give you the absolute best customer service. I'm going to answer every question you have. I'm going to give you that timely response, and I'm going to help you, and, whatever you need, and, this is a problem for you, and, okay, Mrs. Jane Doe, I'm going to give you whatever. It's not how it works. When it comes to funding these businesses, what you have to understand is they're usually not going to tell the truth. They're going to hide the bits that they don't want you to know because they know it's going to create a situation where they would get a worse deal, right? A higher interest rate, a shorter term, whatever, right? You ask them what their client is. It's $850. No, it's not. It's $750, right? You don't know until you do the credit check. But these are the things that you have to understand, right? You have to understand that if they're putting pressure on you, if they want something outside of the norm, if they're getting frustrated and annoyed, and you immediately think, this is terrible. We need to pay more attention to this person, and we need to give them everything they're asking for, and or we're dropping the ball, or we're not doing it right. That is flat out wrong. It's a pressure play. They're putting pressure on you to try and squeeze what they want out of you, to get you to be forthcoming with something that in the past the lender has not been forthcoming with because they want something better than they got last time. Or they know there's something that's a hang up that's going to prevent them from being able to succeed at what they're trying to do. So they're going to get mad at you and try and get you to push it through because they know that you anxiously want to fund that deal and get your commission. They're going to leverage what your needs are, what your want is in the situation to get what they want. If you go about this the wrong way, if you think about this the wrong way. Right? So a valuable lesson for James there is he learned, right? If I give too much information away, if I'm just running to every, beck and call of the and worry of the client, right? Before you know it, they're going to take all that bits of information and go somewhere else. Because at the end of the day, these people want to be led. They want to go with the person that they feel they can trust to get their deal funded, right? And let's be honest. Okay, if we're all on a shipwreck and we all swim to the deserted island, who's going to be the leader of the group, right? Not the one patting everyone on the back. It's going to be okay. Not that person. It's going to be the strong one, right? The strong one who perseveres through it all, who brushes it off his or her shoulder and says, "I can handle it," right? And it's going to lead the group to success. It's that same kind of scenario. I often use dating as an example. Right? We're attracted to confidence in the dating world. Right? We're attracted to confidence. We're not attracted, if you're a pretty girl and you want a guy, a guy's attention, and you keep running over to him and trying to talk to him, he's not interested. He's interested in a girl that is not giving him the time of day. Same thing in the reverse scenario, right? If you're going up to a girl every day, you're handing her flowers and telling her how pretty she is and whatever, she's not interested. She wants the guy in the leather jacket on the motorcycle, right? It's a little cliche, but I think you get my point. There's a little bit of back and forth and push and pull and respecting yourself and talking to these clients and letting them know, hey, I'm a serious business person. Whether it's you, whether it's somebody else, I'm going to get a deal funded. I'm going to make money. So you're either going to play ball and give me what I need and we're going to succeed, or I'm just going to move on because I'm not going to play. You're asking for something outside of the norm. I'm not going to do it. And it's a waste of time. So stop, right? You want all this sweat equity and attention from me and whatever. You know the process. You've been through it before. This is what we need. You need to give us so that we can give you. At the end of the day, we'll find out what you qualify for, right? You don't like it? Next. Right? And this is the way you need to think. Very important stuff. Very important stuff. So anyway, thank you everybody for attending this week's call. That is going to do it for this week's call.